In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, and DC sports has been popping recently. I am Amit, and I've got some co-hosts here. I've got K-Dot, I've got LC, and guest Mernal Widge, second time on the pod. Mernal, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be back in DC, man. It's Thanksgiving. Can't wait to get out there with y'all tomorrow night on U Street. Can't wait for Thursday morning football. Man, I'm going to run over Kadeen. I'm a Mercedes Lewis, almost in the end zone. Oh, it's going to be a good day.
Shout out Vintage Tight Ends. Tonight at the time of this recording, we'll be out probably in Admo U Street.
No, I think Renal had too many chances of being on them yachts and them white chicks. He's got syphilis and it's gone to his head. Think he'll run me over? What the fuck you think this is, boy?
Oh, bro, I got some more thoughts on a yacht for you, man. I went on this party just for you, man. I was shouting out Kadeem Wiggins all night.
All right, as long as the respect was there. Okay, all right, cool.
All right, well, hey, Widge, good to have you back on this show. We're really just hitting on two things. One, the Washington Spirit. We're going to begin with them. They won the NWSL Championship after one of the craziest seasons across any sport. So we're going to start with that, and then we got to get into the Washington football team. What's going on, boys? 2 on the bounce now. Tino says the bye week.
We're back!
Are we back? Are we back? We're going to get into that.
Do you believe, Amit? Do you believe now?
You know what? We're going to get into all of that right after the Washington Spirit talk. We're talking long-term. Can we make a run here? And then the thoughts on Taylor Heinicke. Can he be a long-term starter here in DC? But as I had said, we're beginning with your new champions, the Washington Spirit. Congratulations to them. Beating the Chicago Red Stars 2-1 this past Saturday in Louisville in extra time. Unbelievable game. I mean, it was from start to finish really, really fun. The penalty for Andy Sullivan, but she got it in there. Crazy season. I'll get into the details in just a moment. But LC, I know you saw the game. What were your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I mean, really interesting game, fun game to watch. Definitely Rodman was a different player out there. I think that, you know, in a way, everyone was counting on her to sort of be that X factor, and she's 19, so it's pretty wild that you know they're just waiting on her, and the combination with Kelly O'Hara, right, to be just the opposite side and just experience and leading this team in other ways. So I think it was really interesting. You know, the way that they came back in that second half. The goal for Chicago happened on, I want to say, like the second or third extra minute of the first half, which to me, like literally my first comment as I was watching the game was like, shit, the coach has to like completely rethink what he was about to say at halftime. Because, you know, minutes like 40th minute, you're like, all right, I'm going to tell him to do this, and that, because like this is what I've seen. Now we get scored on. You got to just change the whole script. So I don't know what he must have improvised at halftime. But, with the 2 goals, I mean, the penalty, that's one of them that you just, if the keeper jumps the other way, you're like, oh, okay, she kicked it fine. But it was not a good PK, but you just pray that it goes in. It went in. We'll take it. Every goal counts. Doesn't matter how it goes in. And the second goal I think was beautiful. You know, that was just such a wild play from Rodman from one side, and then literally the connection to the opposite end in so many ways, to the more experienced player, to the national team player, and hitting it in. So that was pretty wild. I think it's gonna, you know, also interesting, like in overtime for soccer, you finish one overtime half and you're winning and you still got to keep playing. Like it's not, you know, like college soccer. I think the game ends. Obviously in like football, I think, right, if you score, the other team gets like one drive or something like that. So it was kind of, you know, annoying to have to wait another like 20 minutes of overtime to see if we won. But
when it felt like a foregone conclusion there,
it was like, hey, call it. Come on, let's do it. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the penalty. First and foremost, put it on frame. Andy Sullivan did exactly
that. That's all you need.
And it went right under the goalkeeper. My heart, oh my gosh, it skipped about 3 beats there. Thought I was going to die. But it went in, and then Kelly O'Hara gets it done. How good is Trinity Rodman, by the way? I know I've been gassing her up for a while, but like, she took over.
I saw, you know what, I would see her on the sideline with two people putting pressure on her, and she would just find her way out of there, and not even just like, oh, she passed it back and like at least we keep possession. She turns around and all of a sudden she's creating her own situation. Like she doesn't just get out of a sticky situation, she also creates something out of it. It's not like, she just barely made it out. She's just fully intentionally getting out with a goal scoring situation later. So it was really impressive, I think, to see that. I think a few moments of frustration showed up for her, but I think that's, when you're that kind of player where the other team knows that they're going to come at you all the time because you're that player that's going to make something happen, you're going to get frustrated sometimes, and that's going to happen. But she kept playing, and she had that wonderful assist in the very last goal. So I think an absolute amazing performance for her.
Amazing performance. And just to quickly put a bow tie on this whole thing, the Washington Spirit went through that crazy season that I had alluded to earlier. Here's what happened. So they had a head coach named Richie Burke who ended up stepping down for health reasons. Turns out that was a lie. Turns out that what actually happened was there were some verbal abuse allegations among some other things that then got verified by various teammates and players and former players. Washington Post came out with this article, bit of a bombshell. So all of a sudden he moves from taking some time off and going to the front office to, hey, we're not involved at all now. So that occurs. Then Kris Ward takes over, the interim coach, plays 3 games, 2 draws, 1 win. Then their COVID outbreak happens. 2 straight forfeits. First time in league history that forfeits had to be doled out because we had previous games canceled due to COVID, or rather moved due to COVID. This time they said, fuck that. You guys, this is the second time this has happened. You have to forfeit 3-0, 3-0, back-to-back losses, putting them in 7th place with 7 to go, excuse me. They end up winning, I think 5 or 6 of them, going on this absolute tear, get to the playoffs. Next thing you know, champions. Kris Ward as interim coach, 12 games managed, 9 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses.
That is unheard of, man.
Absolutely unheard of.
For soccer, that's unheard of.
Yeah. There you go, Ronald. I mean, that's just where it's at. Like, it was unbelievable. I fully expect him to shed the interim tag. One of the people that had actually come out against Richie Burke said, hey, Kris Ward, cool dude. He's not one of those guys that is going to be verbally abusing anybody. He is a good coach. He listens to the players. He makes us feel safe, and he can get results quite clearly. So go ahead.
Quick note on that issue. The opponents of the Spirit in the finals of Chicago Stars, their coach just got accused of very similar things, emotional abuse and verbal abuse. So obviously that cleanse still needs to it is ongoing in the NWSL. Like, I know their CEO resigned, right, or stepped down.
Right.
So yeah, this is, I guess props to the good guy, to the coach that made it to the final. Like, I'm so happy, not just because of Washington, but I can imagine if Chicago had won and then these allegations came out, I feel like that would have tainted things so much. God,
so much. The NWSL front office had to be popping champagne when the Spirit won. Like, they would have been like, holy shit, the Red Stars win, and then, by the way, their coach is an asshole. Like, that would have been so bad. But anyway, once again, Washington Spirit, congratulations on an amazing season.
Sir. Yes, sir.
And the perseverance, hey, unbelievable. Enjoy it. The parade is going to happen next season. They're taking some time before having that parade just to process everything, not just the wins, but also some of the stuff that happened off the field. So congratulations to the Washington Spirit.
Washington Spirit, y'all invited on my next boat party. We need to change up the image of these boat parties.
I don't think you inviting the female soccer team on the yacht's a good look. No, just
so as you know, we do absolutely no vetting of guest co-hosts on this show, given what was just said. But I guess the invite is open. So let's move on to the Washington football team, who are now on a win streak. This might be, I think, Taylor Heinicke's first ever win streak. So congrats there. He played out of his mind. If you listen to the Washington football team preview show, I got to give credit where it's due. K-Dot, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it, picking the Washington football team to beat Carolina. Cam played well. Cam played very, very well, but the defense made enough stops. And Taylor, the highest graded quarterback by Pro Football Focus, highest QBR on the week, you name it, he did it. Amazing performance. So now the question is, let's start with Taylor. And Mernal, I want to begin with you. Can Taylor Heinicke be the long-term solution at quarterback for the Washington football team? Your thoughts?
I love Taylor Heinicke. He's balling out. I mean, I'm not ready to say he's the long-term answer yet. I mean, a 2-game win streak, and we're ready to name somebody the long-term answer. That's how bad it's
just shows how starved we are. Right. Go ahead.
I mean, I think we have the potential to make a run. Ron likes the guys we have in the building. Whenever we go on a playoff run, it's usually because we come out hot at the end of the season after a bye week or after some, catalyst event. And I was just down in Carolina at the game. Actually, I don't know, a lot of Carolina fans were telling me that Ron coach teams always start out playing horribly the year, and then they always are way better towards the end of the year. That's something that I didn't really know was a thing because I didn't watch Carolina that closely all those years. But if that is true, then, I mean, I am pretty confident that I think, Taylor can be our guy for sure through this year. I mean, I say if we end the season well, we bring him back next year. And then, maybe a year and a half from now, we can make the call to see if, he's the long-term answer. But I love him, but not ready to anoint him the future yet.
Okay, no, and I think it's a totally reasonable take. Just talking to people on Twitter, I think you could be anywhere on this spectrum. You can be, hey, he's a great backup quarterback. I appreciate what he's doing right now, to, hey, I've seen enough from him that I want to see another year, and I'm ready to see 3-4 more years. K-Dot, what are your thoughts here?
I think it's the same thing I was saying, I think last week or week before that, is that the floor for Taylor Heinicke is a multi-year backup quarterback of very good quality. That's a really high, low bar. I mean, like that, I think people misunderstand as far as like what that would mean to be a consistent, good, reliable backup in the NFL. And if I'm looking at Taylor and saying that that's the floor for him, then I think right now we're all trying to see exactly where the ceiling is. I mean, if we're looking from a physical specimen aspect, right? I always call him Favre light, right? And I heard somebody, I think it was on Twitter, I saw somebody said that they reminded him of a young Tony Romo, which I thought was actually kind of dead on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's very much along those. It's got like the aw shucks, just making shit happen that Romo has, with the I have the memory of a goldfish that Favre had, right? So it's like the combination of those two things makes you a gutsy motherfucker. And he does not have an arm like Favre does, but he has guts. And the thing is, you can see these guys want to follow him. And if you do, the first time I'm looking at this game, and I was like, maybe Washington actually does have an identity. And I think that was something that I really, really was looking towards, was that going into the game, I said that we need to make sure the run game was there. And you saw every facet, all those guys got carries. Antonio Gibson always have issues as far as his ball security, but when they pulled him out of the game and had McKissick and Patterson in, we didn't miss a beat. And then fucking when Gibson came back, it seemed like he was re-energizing. You had the consistent run game along with Taylor Heinicke being able to move around and get out of the pocket. You've got DeAndre Carter doing the run, doing the end arounds. Like, there's a lot of things you could do with this offense that plays into what Taylor does best. And I think what sums it up more than anything is on that drive where he got hit as he was sliding, and he gets up and gets right in the defender's face. I'm surprised it didn't get a taunting call. I don't know what the fuck taunting means in the NFL anymore. But it was one of those moves where you look around, you're like, what quarterback does that? Like, I know there are a few, but that list is very, very few and far between. And anyone that you might have on that list is a damn near Hall of Famer, right? Like, he's got the right mindset. When you talk about the intangibles of a guy, he's got them in spades. Let him fucking ball, but you got to be there to help bail him out of some of the dumb things that he will probably do. He's going to have games like this where he looks amazing. He's going to have games where he throws multiple picks. But if the team can rally around, the defense can play the way we know they're capable of playing, and that run game exists, I don't know. I like the odds of Taylor Heinicke coming back in here next year with a defense to get some guys coming back, and we'll see what we can do. I mean, we got to focus on this year right now, but if you're looking around the league, what else is going to be out there that's better than this? Unless you're in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, I don't see anybody in the draft class right now that's really blowing my skirt up. What do you want to do? You're going to re-sign Ryan Fitzpatrick? Or do you stick with Taylor Heinicke? I'd say if I had a situation between them two, I'm going to stick with Taylor. because I still think we're trying to figure out who he is.
And so we're actually going to do that right after this. LC, I want your thoughts as well. And we're going to basically play a game where I'm going to name a quarterback or Taylor Heinicke, and you have to pick one. And we're just going to sort of assess where we're at over there. So, K-Dot.
Shit, I'll bring my coin.
Yeah, I know. Just like when we did guess, is that player at Washington National or not? You guys should definitely check that. Oh, my God, what an episode that was. LC, your thoughts on Taylor Heinicke, please.
Yeah, I mean, I actually watched a few parts of the game. I think mostly in the first half, I want to say. He looked good. He looked solid. I think a little bit with what Kadeen says of like he's going to have games where he makes these mistakes and he throws picks and whatnot. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is like the first season he has as like the starting quarterback, the guy that's going to, right? Like this is the first time they see he's like, I'm going to be in there every offensive play. It's my team. That, that being able to get rid of those decisions I think it's just part of the learning process, right? Like this is the first time he's had to make every decision in every game in the offense, right? He's the quarterback. He's the leading guy. So I would expect growth in that area. And like, obviously he's going to take risks. Like you can't just fully change your play style to just always play it safe. That's not even a good idea. Like, I don't think people with talent should be like, I'm just going to play it safe so I never make a mistake. That's not the way to go. But the ability of determining when you can go for some more risky passes and when you can go for that rush, that surprise run, that should come with growth. That should come with just keep playing, playing a full season, looking back into it, looking back and when are you making decisions? When is the play call really like, matching with what you want to do? So I would expect him to get better at that aspect. That sounds like a decision-making aspect. That comes to practice as well. Like I don't think it's not just something people have set and, you can't ever improve that. So I would say it's looking up. Like if you're just trying to think of, is he a long-term solution? I wouldn't expect him to be worse next year, right? Like I don't think anybody would. And so it's not just how is he playing this year, is I would also think he's going to even continue improving. I was just looking up his age. He's 28, which is like, obviously he didn't just come out of college, but at the same time, he's got plenty of years left, especially as a quarterback, which, it's a different position. I mean, how old are these guys that are like Hall of Famers that are throwing a fucking 40, right? So obviously it's a different position. You can play plenty more years. And these decision-making processes start to be even more important than your arm. Like it's just that they're more cerebral now. So I think there's plenty of room for him to just keep growing.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, listen, you're going to find me in agreement with those statements there. So I said last week that if Taylor Heinicke went into Carolina on Cam Newton's homecoming and won that game, I'd be all the way back in. I also didn't realize he'd be this fucking good. That was unbelievable. That was maybe the best quarterback performance I've seen in some years from this team. I mean, really think about it. It probably goes back to one of Kirk Cousins' performances in the middle of the regular season where we would end up faltering either to the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs.
No, you're right. It's Kirk. Kirk would usually have those games where he could throw for 400 yards or 300 plus, and then I remember early on in Kirk, he would throw a pick, and then you knew that was going to be 3 picks that game, and then he finally changed that aspect of it. And yeah, right. Kirk had some really good games.
He certainly did.
Taylor's the anti-Kirk.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we're all on the same page there. So the thing about Kirk is he would fill an amazing stat line, and then the very next game when it started to matter over here, right now he's having a great season and good for him, may it continue, he would choke. That's the reality of the situation. He would choke. Taylor, and that's where the young Romo comparison gets interesting too, Romo would choke. Taylor doesn't seem to do that because, again, against Tampa Bay last season in the playoffs, mind you, this season where he actually won the fucking game, he played out of his mind. His teammates love him. He can ball and his decision-making is getting better. If you were to give him the offseason and he is the starter going into it and he gets those reps with the ones, I mean, there is an enormous shift, a mental shift for everybody. If he were to get this role. Go ahead, Elsie.
I like that idea of the offseason too, because if you think about it, this is the season where he came thinking, I gotta prove myself, right? This is my job interview, right? This season is my job interview for getting being this guy, this franchise's long-term solution. I would think that if he does get that vote of confidence of saying like, okay, we gave you a season, we like what we saw, let's invest more on you, then that would be a different mindset you go into a season where like you don't have the pressure of like, my job literally depends on how I do and you brought a guy just in case
Might be
I
why
don't
he's
work
doing
out,
well
right?
though.
Yeah,
It could be.
you think so?
I mean,
Like that
I
pressure?
see some quarterbacks all the time that they thrive under pressure. Sometimes backups come to replace the starter, and look at Mike White,
Pick
right?
up.
Like Mike White came in hot, he balled out for a game. I mean, obviously very small sample size, but then Jets fans started calling for him to be the starter over Zach Wilson, and then you saw what happened, and that happens to a lot of quarterbacks. Now, I hope that isn't the case with Heinicke, but I mean, you saw that with like Case Keenum. I mean, or even Ryan Fitzpatrick for many years. Like he'd come in, ball out, get the contract, be the guy, and then just play like shit.
But I think that I just want to say, sorry to cut you off. I think the difference here, right? And K-Dot, we've touched on this a little bit, is Ron Rivera, head coach, and Scott Turner, offensive coordinator, would come out with comments after the game, including against the New York Giants, where we had that very emotionally charged win. And they said, we'd really like to see him reel it in a little bit. And over the course of the season, they went from we want him to take it easy and manage the game to realizing we just need this guy to be himself. And as that started happening, you're now beginning to see signature wins for the guy. So yeah. I think he went through that little lull of, okay, I'm trying to do what the coaches are telling me to do, which is manage the game, play it safe. The Green Bay game is a perfect example of that, where he slides. They're telling him to slide, and he's down at the half-yard line. And guess what? We don't score on that drive. If he just is himself, he scores. And who knows what happens with those extra 7 points. So I think it was a lot of getting the communication right between quarterback, offensive coordinator, and head coach. And that is necessary. You will find very, very few. Aaron Rodgers is a prime example. He and Mike McCarthy hated each other, but Aaron is so damn good, it didn't matter, right? But like normally you have that unity. Well, listen, they would still make the play. We could go on for hours about the guy. I understand that. But there is a certain unity in this locker room about Taylor Heinicke. He has beaten the two best quarterbacks we've played in some time in back-to-back weeks now, including one on the road. Okay? Whatever
rein your Cam Newton thing in just a little bit, okay? Just like I get it. Come on, dog.
Did he play well? Did he play well?
Yeah, he played well. He played well. He played well. He played what, 3 total? He played well. He played well.
Did he falter? Did Taylor falter?
Did Taylor falter? No.
You just said the two best quarterbacks we've played.
That's what I'm saying. That's
no.
That we Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes.
That we sorry. That we've beaten in some time. That we have beaten in some time.
I mean, if the other part of that conversation is Daniel Jones, I get it. But I'm just saying, all I'm saying is that, look, I think the closest person that you could probably really legitimately compare Taylor Heinicke to is also on the Washington football team, and it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. If you're really, really looking for it, right? A guy who's gutsy, a guy who comes in, doesn't matter, doesn't care, is willing to go out there and just ball, and has these moments of looking fucking fantastic, and also having these moments where you're not sure exactly what's going on with him, right? Which is what's happened to Fitzpatrick over plenty of fucking years. Taylor, we don't have as big a sample size. But what I think with Taylor is that what you also see on this team, and this is some of what LC was saying, this was not his team. And I don't think the coaches thought, under any circumstances, until maybe this week, that it was his team. Like, we knew when Fitzpatrick got signed, it's his. It was his. Taylor was in a situation where if Ryan gets hurt, I then have to go and ball. This was not his opportunity to come in and do this, that, and the other. We were talking about whether or not Taylor or Kyle were going to be second on the fucking depth chart. We didn't know. So, I think what you have with Taylor is that it's Shane fucking Falco. It's I'm the baller when you need me to be. I'm just going to pull shit out of a hat. You don't know how I did it. There's the throw that he had in the end zone. I forget if it was Carter or Terry, where he threads this ball in triple coverage. It was against Sims. Terrible decision, Taylor. You don't have the arm. Hold on, wait. Once again, pot of gold thing, right? So I know you might disagree. But threading that ball in there the way he did, and looking how slow that ball looked when he got threaded in there, it's like, brother, you got balls of steel. You just have balls of steel. No one else would have done that. Like, you just wouldn't have done it. You can see he doesn't have the same arm strength that some of the other guys have. It doesn't matter to him. He goes out and he does it. And that's the thing, is that I think the defenses more than often are just like, you believe this fucker just did that shit? Like, I think that's where everybody's just in awe. He's just the dude making shit happen. When he breaks through a sack and he looks awkward doing it, and he's just fucking taking off, you're like, this is backyard Brett Favre football. This is just old school, just getting it done.
But he also
It
uses
was the play to John Bates that really was
Oh my God.
that fourth down.
out of control.
That won the game.
On fourth
That
down,
basically won the game. All right, so we're gonna move on real quick because I want to play that game of I'm gonna name a quarterback and you tell me whether you'd want him yes or no. I just also want to say Taylor Heinicke uses his legs similar to Russell Wilson. He runs around and before he can get hit, slides. He's very, very smart about that. And I think that helps a team out big time as we're forming our identity around him. Running the ball, giving him third and manageable, and allowing him to get a first down, whether it's a short throw because he doesn't have the strongest arm or he can run for it. And we're doing a really good job so far. We're going to talk about the rest of the schedule in a moment, but here we go. This is the order. Mernal, then K-Dot, then LC. I'm going to ask about a quarterback, and you tell me Taylor or that quarterback.
Are we talking about next year?
Next year.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. First name, Teddy Bridgewater.
Taylor.
Taylor.
I
LC.
have no idea who that is. Taylor.
So you got to go Taylor. All right. That's how this is going to go. LC's just going to say Taylor a whole lot. Next one. Baker Mayfield.
Taylor.
I got to see the way the rest of the season
so
plays out.
Go ahead, Bernal, go
The
ahead.
rest of the season. Do we make the playoffs or do we
Yeah.
just, lose
Sure.
all our division games?
Okay, so let's say we win 3 out of the 5. Let's make this assumption. You're right. Let's set some ground rules here. 3 out of the 5 division games, we beat Seattle this Monday night. We beat the Raiders too, just as an instance. So we win 5 more games.
So we go 9-8. I assume that probably gets us the 7th seed, and say we lose in the wild card or something.
Sure,
I said we make the playoffs. I'd go Taylor.
Playoffs, Taylor. No playoffs, Baker.
I'm more concerned about Baker. What does Baker's
You
rest
have
of the
to-
year
I have to
look
see
like?
Baker rest of the year too, of course. But
The point is,
I
it's
don't know.
close.
It's
Run the
close. It's a
bottle,
decision to be
goddammit.
made. There's a decision to be made right now. If I were to say all things equal, this is just everything I've seen. The excited part of me wants to go Taylor, but I think Baker is the more well to put together project. Like I would think that if I had to sign one of them, I might go Baker's upside. But you got to see the rest of the way the season ends up, because I think that like the way Baker and Cleveland does look right now, Taylor's trending upward. Baker looks like a man who's going to be fighting for a back position.
As of right now.
Yeah.
Of right now, sure. LC?
I would say if in the next 4 games there's rain or snow in at least 2, Taylor. If the price of gas goes down to under $3, Baker. That's my condition. So can you tell me your assumptions for weather and gas prices for the next 5 regular season?
Weather's going to be nice and sunny, but gas prices are going to be below $3.
Shit. I didn't think of that.
They're
Okay.
both- yeah.
The other thing is, I think Taylor's handled the just the whole organization shit show that the WFT is pretty
That's a
well.
really
Whereas
fucking good
I
point.
Yeah,
don't know
bringing
if
someone
Baker-
into this.
I don't know if Baker would handle it as well as Taylor. I mean, Taylor's literally had no issues with the media, coaching staff, GM, like Snyder. I mean,
There's
I mean,
a
I
new
don't know,
name
not
But
that
that's
we've
because
heard
he's
of
still
him.
playing with the free pass, though, technically, right? I mean, again, he is still in the backup role
That-
for a lot of fans.
It's not his team yet. Right. It's not his team yet. He kind of floats. Not to mention all his Twitter nonsense from how many years ago. We have been protecting him, okay? We've been overlooking a lot of things.
If he's
about
playing
Taylor
great,
right
real quick, if
If
he's playing
Snyder
great,
likes that, that's
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This fan base has protected Taylor to a certain degree. I mean, even seeing him pop up in the Joe Rogan t-shirt after the Aaron Rodgers thing was sort of like, we love you, Taylor. And we left it there. Nobody wants to do any digging
because then he
anymore.
beat Tampa Bay. If we got routed, we'd be like, yo, what the fuck was that?
What the fuck is up with this dude?
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. It's the nature of sports. The moment you lose, we will find something. But if you're winning, we ignore a whole lot. I mean, trust me, we ignore a whole lot. Okay, so Baker, it's close, is the point there. Jordan Love or Taylor
I
Heinicke.
haven't seen enough from Love at all.
So it's more the
there's-
prospect of Jordan Love, right? Assuming Rodgers stays in Green Bay.
I
Taylor.
wouldn't take Jordan.
Taylor,
Love.
Taylor.
Aaron Rodgers, is he on your list? Of
He's
names?
about to be. We're going to get there in a moment. LC?
Jordan Love is a really cool name, but I'm still gonna go with Taylor.
Okay. I got 2 more. I got 2, maybe 3 more names on this list. Aaron Rodgers is the next one. Bernal.
I I'd take. Well, we're going by the same Taylor makes the playoffs assumption?
Yes.
That's tough because I don't want to like kill his momentum. I think Aaron Rodgers comes to DC for like maybe 1 year. We have a good year, and then he gets fed up with the organization. And I mean, if he's pissed off with Green Bay, he ain't gonna like DC for too long. So like maybe he gives us 1 good year. We don't win the Super Bowl. I'd still go Taylor if we make the playoffs.
Okay, Taylor, if we make the playoffs, K-Dot?
It's Aaron Rodgers. There's only one answer to this. It's Aaron fucking Rodgers. Like, I get it. He'll probably blow up the locker room. The only reason I do give him credit for is that the wide receiving room that we have right now is being led by who I think is the most mature player maybe in the NFL, and Terry McLaurin. And he's not going to allow Rodgers to just do whatever it is he wants to in that locker room. I don't think Terry would. I don't think McLaurin would. I think that there is a chance that you had other people that would buy in. Not to mention Aaron Rodgers is going to bring his own team of motherfuckers with him. Randall Cobb's coming along. Like, there's just a certain number of shit that Aaron does bring to the team that I think would be a detriment to us overall. But Aaron Rodgers from a talent level is a generational talent. And if you have a defense that is actually playing up to snuff, there's no telling where you could end up with him in the quarterback position. And I'm sorry, we have not won a Super Bowl since 91. I'll take that 1-year loan if it means that it puts me right there in the conversation for a Super Bowl, which having Aaron Rodgers on your team is just there.
Sense. Yeah. LC, I know you know the name Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead.
That's right. I think I like Kareem's point. In this model you're running in your head, did he get immunized or did he get vaccinated?
he remains immunized.
Okay, just because I don't know what the protocols are going to be next year. Okay, all right. I guess we'll take the gamble.
They may cut Aaron's dick off. So keeping that in mind, would you take?
I'll take him. I'll take him.
All right. 2 more names. Tua.
Hell no.
Taylor.
I wouldn't take Tua. Yeah, no, just no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going Taylor. Brian Flores and what they did to Tua last year broke him. And I'll never forgive Brian Flores and those guys for what they did to him.
Understandable.
Is that enough for me to Google it? Tua?
Yeah,
How do you spell it? Tua, that's it. If I
up.
say that, what it'll say? Let's see.
All right, so while LC deliberates on that.
I never heard of this name.
Never heard of it.
So I'm going to go with Taylor.
Taylor, all right.
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa.
Is he from, where is he from?
Hawaii,
He sounds like New Zealand. So it is Pacific Islander. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Good.
All right,
Good.
cool name.
Deshaun Watson, knowing what we know right now.
Watson.
Get up.
What's happening with the legal situation?
That's the car horn.
It's Watson's lawyer. Don't say shit.
Uncertainty is the point.
Yeah, that uncertainty scares me off. I mean, hold on. Is he coming as a free agent, or we have to mortgage everything to go get him?
We would have to mortgage. It's still a trade.
Then no. I need to see the way. I need to see the way it ends up. Aaron Rodgers just comes here to a certain degree. I'm not giving up 4 first-round fucking draft picks.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that for Watson. I mean, regardless of legal situation or not, I don't think he's worth that. I thought he would be coming over as a free agent with a maybe uncertain legal situation.
I don't think they're going to cut him. I think they know they can get something for him because Miami was in pretty tight discussions with them. I think they were going to get something.
If it's like not 4 first-rounders, but hell no.
Let's say 2 first-rounders, 2 seconds, and
a player.
And a player?
Yeah, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a player.
I don't like. That's still too much for me.
Fair enough. Okay.
I'll do 2 first-rounders probably. That's my.
Yeah, just the 2.
Yeah,
I could see that too. Considering you can whiff on draft picks.
And,
LC, go ahead.
I'll defer to the experts. Taylor, all the way. Absolutely.
Taylor all the way. Okay, so I mean, what you see here, right, is
you
that
say Russell Wilson.
Can you?
Yes, thank you. That was the last name I had forgotten. I was doing this all from memory. Russell Wilson as the last name in this exercise.
I'd take Russell Wilson. I think he's like Aaron Rodgers, but probably gives us more than a year. So
yeah, I mean,
I'd take the multiple. I'd take the years, and I just really don't see Aaron Rodgers meshing with the organization. I see Russell maybe putting up with it for.
Which is why I don't think he'll sign in the first place. Russell Wilson.
I'm leaning Russ, but it's been hard to see some of the stuff I've been seeing this year. I know he hasn't been healthy, but Russ just has. I mean, he's already he's Russ. Yeah, I want to lean that way. I don't feel as though I'm too far removed about exactly what I felt about Taylor Heinicke last year around this exact when the season was over, in the sense of like I really wanted to just see what was going to happen next. But then when Ryan Fitzpatrick and Matt Stafford was available, I'm like, yeah, let's do those. I think Russell Wilson is one of the, let's do that.
Okay. Russell Wilson. Elsie?
Look, I know that name, so I know he's got to be good. So I'm going to go with that, with Russell.
And Sierra at FedEx Field automatically makes it a better place to go watch games.
Sierra may not make it out alive at FedEx Field. Who knows what's going to go wrong next year at that place.
Or they might be there on Monday night.
That's true. That's true. You know what? That's a pretty perfect segue over to the rest of the season outlook, which I wanted to get into with you guys. But real quick, just the note on the Taylor Heinicke or insert quarterback here exercises. The only real unanimous one at the very end was Russell Wilson, and there was still some thought there of like,
I will say, you're asking this the week after he had a phenomenal game.
True. You ask this again in 2 weeks. Let's say it's 2 losses. We're like, are you kidding me? We're going to look back and think this was the worst episode we have ever done. But for the time being, riding off this high. Correct. We've seen what he can do with a defense that does help him out versus before. Yes.
One thing, the only thing I always think about with Taylor when I'm seeing, like when I said he threw that ball in the triple coverage, right? Is it right now with the way this offense has been and what we've seen from the quarterback position over the last few years, do we even know, like, if you had an Aaron Rodgers plugged in that had better physical abilities than Taylor, if we're like an undefeated fucking team? Like, to me, is like, I'm not saying Taylor's holding the team back. I think he's the reason we've been in a lot of the positions we're in. But part of me just thinks, like, maybe the bar's just set so low that as long as he makes certain plays or he does certain things or he has a guy like Terry McLaurin he's throwing the football to, do I think anybody can throw the football to? Like, how much better does it look with a Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers? I think the only real thing that I need to question is, like, it's not taken away from Taylor. It's just, well, I guess it is. Maybe this team, I'm looking at the way we won against Carolina was running the ball and keeping it well balanced. And if we continue with that attack and play good defense, I still kind of want to see what Ryan Fitzpatrick looks like behind center. That's the only thing is I don't have anything to compare it to because I'm just seeing Taylor.
You know what? It's a really good question because I do think we would run into situations where we would not be undefeated with some of those other guys. Heck, Aaron, he hurt himself during COVID. Like while he was on break, he stubbed his toe or some shit, and now it's worse than turf toe. So there's that, for example, old man. And then you've got Russell Wilson, who also had his own injury. Now, I know the moniker on Taylor Heinicke is that he's injury prone. That article came out, NBC Sports Washington, saying he put on 15 pounds of muscle. I tend to believe it because he hasn't been hurt yet. And that was a big, big concern for a lot of us. So actually, I don't know how much better off this team is. That's an interesting point and point to Taylor at this moment. Ronald, did you want to chime in on that?
I would say we'd probably, if Aaron Rodgers was running this offense right now, we'd probably have a couple more wins than we do. I say Aaron Rodgers on Washington would have beaten the Aaron Rodgers on Green Bay.
Sure, I agree with that.
Green Bay game. I think we would have beaten New Orleans. So, I mean, that's 2 right there.
And then probably Denver too. So actually, let's amend it and let's go, we would be right in the thick of the
still lost a couple games for sure. Yeah. But we'd definitely be better off.
All right. So let's look at the rest of the season real quick because we spent a lot of time on that last one. We are now 4-6. The 7th seed, the 6th seed, Minnesota, New Orleans, 5-5. So we're a game back of the playoffs. Up next, a reeling Seattle Seahawks team. I know the fan in me, and I know the fan in you, Mernal, in particular, sees a team that's reeling with the quarterback like that, and we get very nervous that they're going to get right against us.
And how bad are we on Monday night?
Oh, we are so bad on Monday night. Seattle fans don't truly understand what a golden opportunity they have in front of themselves right here, right now. But we got Seattle, we got Vegas, and then we got 5 division games. And that is the season. If Dallas were to drop the game on Thanksgiving, this is mind-blowing to me. We would control our playoff destiny should we win out. We win the division should we win out. Dallas just needs to drop 1 game outside of the division. That's it. and we could take it. So the question is, and K-Dot, start with you here. Rest of season outlook, given what you've seen so far, and this includes before the bye week as well, what are you expecting to happen?
No fucking idea. Zero idea. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, the next 2 games are the ones that end up being humongous as far as just where it is that the team's going to end up. The 5 divisional games, I just chalk up to the ether. No one knows what's going to happen when the NFC East is battling and jockeying for positions at the end of the fucking year. We have no idea what's going to happen with that. But these are 2 games in which I say you've got to win in order to control your destiny to a certain degree. Because I think that, like, the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think anybody's under any assumption that it should be a game that we should win. Like, it's Russell Wilson, it's the Seattle Seahawks. It's Monday night for us at a home stadium that maybe because the last 2 games is popping. I doubt it, because it's going to be cold as shit after Thanksgiving, and they're calling for snow on Sunday possibly. Like, no, I just don't think it's going to be like that. I don't know, man. Like, I think Vegas is beatable. To me, the Seahawks game is just huge. If I see what happens with the Seahawks game, I'd be in a better position, because I think that of those 5 division games at the end, we can win 3 to 4 of them. I think 3 to 4 of them is something that I would predict happening, but I don't know. And week in and week out, if you have if you have anyone talking football that says that they do know what they're doing, you've met a liar, okay? The season makes no goddamn sense, as I've been saying time and time again. Did you see what the record for home teams was last week? It's fucking ridiculous. I think it was like 5-9 or some shit or whatever. It was a losing record. It didn't make sense, okay? Like, this season makes no sense. Don't extrapolate shit. It's me anything.
I mean, I tend to agree with that. Murdal, what do you think? So K-Dot has no fucking idea. What do you think rest of season?
Ooh, a lot rides on Monday night, honestly. I think if we ride the Monday night win, like that's, we're all the playoff runs I was talking about since 2005 have come because we've, won 5, 6, 7 in a row. I think we start catching on to that momentum. And whenever we take that momentum into division games, I agree with Kadeen. I think we could win 4 of them. But if that momentum gets stopped on Monday night, which, we're 1 in 17 since 99 on Monday
Lord
night.
knows what it is, man.
And last time I thought we had a chance on Monday night, we lost 23-0 to the Bears. So I just don't feel good about Monday night versus Seattle. But if they win that game, I say we carry that momentum through to the division games and probably, I don't know about catching Dallas, but maybe eke out a 7 seed.
Wildcards within reason. Quick question for you, and then LC, I want to hear from you. If you were given the option to move this game from Monday night to Sunday afternoon, do you think that would increase our chances of winning?
Ooh, yes. Just because of stats.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. We know this team. We are dialed into this team.
This is why I asked. This is why I put in my model. Good.
He asked about the weather.
That's why I put it in my model, man.
I'm trying to go to the game. Shit. For the sole purposes of Monday night will be lit. I don't know. I think we do have not the best fans in the league, but I think 2 games. We just won. We have momentum Monday night. I think we'll have solid turnout on Monday. It'll be rowdy.
Real quick, I was going to say, so in terms of the best fans in the league, the ones that are there are diehard. I think you do see a lot of opposing team fans because the franchise in general has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I don't think that's the fans' fault. Those that have been rubbed the wrong way by Dan Snyder and stuff like that. But those that keep going are diehard. You see
we
them.
Have loyal
you saw
fans.
The dude against the Tampa Bay Bucks who was they kept zeroing in on him. He was awesome the whole game where they're like, come on, let's go. There are some awesome fans at those games. There are just not that many because of the history of this team recently.
It's more than that.
No.
Carolina, we had a ton of fans come out in Carolina.
Carolina's still the R-word country, right? The NFL was designed where it used to be "Fight for Old Dixie." That was the fight song, all right? We were the team of the South. To the Atlanta Falcons fans that are Falcons fans only because they now exist. They used to be fans of us. Same with the Carolinas. There are a lot more Washington fans than there'll ever be of the Panthers going up and down the coast.
From Virginia. I met DMV people that drove down to Carolina to that game because, like me, I'd rather go to an away game. I get to see the team play without supporting the organization. And
that's the thing.
Did that.
That's the thing. I have tickets to the Cowboys-Washington game. We're going as a whole group. I'm dreading it already. Even if it's for the division. I'm already like, how the fuck am I going to get there? I'm not taking the Metro. I got to pay for a motherfucking parking pass. Can't take Uber. I ain't walking up that fucking hill. I'm already dreading the shit out of it. I'm going to the Cleveland Browns-Baltimore Ravens game Sunday. I'm like, I might take an Uber. I might just walk. I'm just going to do this, do that. Fuck the stadium. Fuck the game day experience, bro. It's a hassle. It is a fucking hassle.
You go ahead and hitch a ride with Sierra. Elsie, what are your thoughts on the rest of the season outlook over here?
Thanks for a reminder. I forgot the question. Hey, the Spirit did it, man. If the Washington Spirit could do it, then I think the Washington football team can do it. I mean, just get some inspiration from this woman. All you got to do is win every single game left. What's the difference? Come on, just do it. That's the same thing that the women did.
Tell you what, the women did do it, and under great circumstances. One thing I left out about the Washington Spirit was they literally all penned the same letter to Steve Baldwin, the current owner, saying, please sell the team. Also sell it to Michele Kang. We'll tell you exactly who to sell it to. I have never seen anything like that before. Shout out the Washington Spirit. Holy shit.
Start taking some inspiration. I don't know.
Some inspiration. By the way, despite the fact that we're on this little 2-game win streak in Seattle, seems
if we had a new owner, who would y'all want it to be?
I mean, without looking into it too much, Bezos. I mean, I think it would be cool, but I don't know enough about what Bezos would want to do.
Free.
The thing is, I would want it to be a fan, but not the level of super fan, I suppose, that Dan Snyder is, right? Because that's how he was sold to us. He's a fan. He wants the best, and he bought everybody. He got all these old guys to come in and be the 1990s All-Stars in the year 2000, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible. K-Dot, go ahead.
Give me Kanye West, Kevin Durant, Jay-Z. They all just get their money together. I mean, number one, I want a minority owner. I want a minority owner for this team.
3 right there. Go ahead.
I think if you get the triumvirate of those guys together and just, Kanye, we want to put some money. I get him away from decision making. He can design jerseys. He can design all kind of shit. Just keep him away from this product on the field.
Listen, Twitter would be fucking lit if those
guys
were.
Can you imagine the artists we'd have before the games?
The number of burner accounts where we're like, yo, this team's trash. And you just see the boss coming after you. That would be great. I mean,
the halftime show would be lit as fuck every week. It would be amazing.
Might line up at wide receiver because he's an owner now. He's like, fuck it, put me on the team. I'm free Sunday.
I'm just saying, we need to get creative with it. I want a minority ownership group. Jeff Bezos, I like the money he has. I like the fact that he's just going to be willing to spend it. But he's also evil son of a bitch. And he likes to ride around a penis spaceship. So I don't know. There's something wrong with him.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
So real quick, because this is devolving, and that's on me once again. I need to ask you guys for quick picks. Seattle is favored by 2.5. K-Dot, obviously, when we do the preview show, it may change once we get more info. But quick picks, Seattle favored by anywhere between 2.5 and 3.5. I'm seeing 2 different numbers here. Who do you like on Monday night? Murnal, starting with you.
Seattle.
Okay, Seattle. K-Dot.
Explain. There's no explanation necessary Monday night. But
Monday night, Washington, right? K-Dot.
Washington.
Okay, I'll see.
I'm against you calling a 2-game winning sequence a streak. So I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna go with Kadeen.
It's fucking been a while.
I'm gonna go with Kadeen's choice, Washington, so that you can actually call it a streak of 3 at least, and not just back to back. It's not a streak. It's just a pair, literally a pair of wins.
You are. I can't argue that. All right. So for the sake of having streak be the correct word, LC is choosing Washington over here. I'm all on this Taylor Heinicke Kool-Aid right now. I think he's going to have a big game. I think we're going to get this done. If anyone could break the Monday night curse, it's this guy straight out of the replacements, Taylor Heinicke. So I'm going to pick Washington. We're going to get into the preview show, see the injury reports, things like that. Should be interesting. But now we are going to conclude the show with LC's Rugby Rule of the Day. As you guys know, we are now more committed to rugby. There are a lot of
Next level.
There actually, here's the thing. I was looking around. There is some coverage of Major League Rugby, but still not enough. So we're going to start doing that as well. LC, what is our Rugby Rule of the Day, sir?
You also got to cover it for people who don't know rugby, like
We
expanding
are a
the game.
beginners rugby podcast.
Expanding the game also means that people who don't search for the word rugby on their YouTube or whatever
Pioneers
platform
of
you're listening
rugby.
to it, you listen to it. So today I was thinking, since we're transitioning from football, there's a lot of kicking in rugby, and there's a lot of different rules about kicking. But I think one that's really interesting, and I would love to hear even your thoughts. What if they did something like this in football? Because I would love it. Which is when a rugby player catches the ball and punts it really high up on purpose, really, really high, not too much forward, but really, really high. They can sprint to try to catch that ball, and they can contest for that ball in the air. So imagine if in football, after you punt it, one of your players could actually go and contest that ball. So they don't have to let the catcher get it. You can go get it. And if you get it, you have it. It's just your possession. So it actually creates like a very dynamic, type of using the foot in a very dynamic way. But the rule is that when you kick the ball up, actually anytime you kick it forward, but in this case, when you punt it to go get it, the players that are in front of you, so your teammates that are in front of you, cannot move towards the ball until you or somebody behind you has passed them. Okay, so if I kick the ball and let's say Kadeen's in front of me and Bernal starts running behind me, once Bernal passes Kadeen is now onside and can go get the ball. So the idea is that you don't kick the ball and have a guy that's already there where the ball's going to land, just wait for it. You got to actually go get it. But it's really interesting. I think it creates a lot of really strategic ways of kicking the ball. So it's not always let me get it out of here, as it is in punting in football, right? Which is like, I don't want this, or at least I don't have any more opportunities to move forward. But instead it's a kick forward, but we may get it back. And there are some rules on how to contest it as well. So player can go for the ball in the air. You cannot tackle someone in the air. So if an opponent will, jumps for the ball, which is the most common thing, is that players try to jump on purpose so that they cannot be tackled. You cannot tackle them until they've landed, for safety reasons, of course, because you could really hurt somebody. But you should watch some of these guys do it. It's an absolutely insane skill to be able to kick it at a distance that you think you can get there, running through traffic, because obviously the rest of the team is in front of you. And yeah, I think it creates a lot more dynamism in the play than just sort of kicking it.
So I guess for that strategy, is there any specific word for it other than like a punt or a kick or like? Yeah.
I don't know if there's a word for it, actually. There probably is, but I haven't heard anyone use a specific type of word. So the thing is that a lot of the kicking has the same rules, but they will be used in a different way. So if I kick just to like get rid of it, the rule that nobody can go forward towards the ball unless they've been passed by somebody that was behind me or myself. If I kick, I gotta go get it too. Then that applies for any type of kick. So it's not like there's it's not like a different rule for it. So I haven't heard of a different word for it. Maybe there is. Maybe I don't really know the lingo in English that much.
So here's my thought. Tressway, fantastic punter. If this were to happen in football, totally for it. Going back to K-Dot's idea, love the minority ownership group, want KD to be eligible. I'm going to stick with that now. Just have him run up and grab that shit. Just sort of tap it.
That's the other thing.
We may not
some players. So like some players will go and instead of trying to catch it, they'll just try to tap it backwards. Obviously, you cannot play forward in rugby. Well, obviously to me, I don't know about you. You cannot play forward, so you want to tap it backwards, and then most likely somebody on your team is going to get it because you're tapping it towards the side of your team. So you can create offense out of nowhere, out of a punt, out of a player that a play that is to sort of get rid of the ball, quote unquote. But you actually go contest it, and it's really interesting.
Just to clarify one more time, let's say you kick the ball, you LC kick the ball. I'm 10 yards in front of you. I immediately have to freeze until I see a teammate of mine run past me. Then I'm eligible.
You will hear correct, and you will hear very, very often, because it's a very common penalty to start running towards the ball. You will hear the ref say, like, let's say we're wearing red, it'd be like, red, stop. And once a player actually passes the line of most players, they'll say, red, you're on. So they'll truly look for it, because you can really get an advantage if you start running before. But the refs will actually tell the players like number 4, stop, because they'll see number 4 starting to move, like 4, stop. And if they keep doing it, they'll call in a penalty. It's a pretty bad one too, because you got to go all the way back to pretty much where you kicked it. So it would suck. So it's a interesting rule. I would think it's hard to referee it too. So I think it's one of those that the assistants also help a lot with. It's kind of like offsides. I mean, it is technically offsides. So it's one of those that it's not everyone knows it who plays rugby. I've had teammates who just started running to the ball. It's like, the ball's going there, I'm going there.
So now we know more than your teammates. That's what you're saying.
So I mean, when we started play, I think by the end of the season, everyone was on. The other thing is, I, as the kicker, had to remember to go get it, because when I kick and I pass my teammates, I'm putting them on sides, right? I'm giving them permission to come with me because I'm passing them. So
the one thing I'm thinking about is, how high are you kicking this fucking ball, right? Because for you to cross them and then for them to be on and be like, okay, I got a shot at this thing. Like, you're not hitting this 60 deep. You're hitting this just pretty high.
Pretty high.
20, 30 yards or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's that strategic, or sometimes what they'll do is, the kicker won't run for the ball, but they know they have a winger who's right behind them, who's just going to dart as soon as you kick it. And so, like, he's going to put everyone on side. I'm staying here, but he can just pass everyone in. And so, if you got a speedy runner, just put that thing out there and hope they'll get it.
Shit, I fucking love it. All right.
It feels like this could, if we change the position of where some of the guys were on the opposing team, might be an alternative to the onside kick, which I think fucking sucks in the NFL.
Right.
The only thing I was thinking about the collisions that would happen if somebody really kicked that ball up in the air and there was no fair catch. Motherfuckers wouldn't die.
No, absolutely, and that's why there's a couple of rules to ensure, but to promote safety. And one of them is that actually players jump to get it, and that creates usually two players contesting for the ball, and not like a mass of people. But yeah, it's a very dangerous play. Like, even if you contest for the ball legally, let's say, accidents happen and people go for the ball, like, pretty hard. I mean, put your knee up, then wish for the best.
To promote safety, of course. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the video where we all learn to play rugby. LC coaches us, and we just.
I'll kick it. You go get it.
It's a good time. We explain all the rules, and we're just not even close.
I'm watching all those videos, and they're talking how every rugby video I'm watching as I'm trying to learn is rugby is a game played by all different body shapes and sizes. Like, everyone can play. I'm seeing these fat fucks playing this game. I'm like, dude, I got a shot in this fucking thing. Like, I might be able to do something here.
Hey, we'll find a spot.
While we're talking rugby, I want to give a shout out to the Guatemala Seagulls West Auckland Rugby Football Club. Catch a boy over there in the. Oh, that's me right there.
I think we found the
that's
thumbnail.
Me right there.
Just send us that photo. We'll put it as the thumbnail.
A whole lot of island boys playing. Oh, I got jacked up.
Love that. What position did you play?
Oh, they just threw me like all over the place. I didn't have a position. I was just.
It's a free for all.
Were you pretty familiar with the rules, or did you just sort of let it fly?
I learned. I mean, I was given a very, very quick intro to the rules. I didn't
very
have
quick.
Very quick. I mean, I showed up to practice one day, and I mean, I was in pads and sort of, I was running the ball like, 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Took a couple big hits.
In practice?
At practice, yeah. I mean, I was one of like, I would say 25% of the players in pads. A lot of them were just practicing hitting without pads.
Yep.
But there's some tough boys out there on that field.
I know. My job was to avoid them as the fullback. Like whenever I got the ball, I had to avoid anyone that looked big. And then if my defense cracked, then I was supposed to tackle. And I was like, man, what chance do you think I got?
A lot.
Yeah. Okay. So you were in the forward.
Yeah. I was probably that.
Okay. Well, last episode that I talked about rugby, we learned about the scrum. So you would have been in that pack of it.
Gotcha. Well, it's still better you're teaching the rules than me. I mean, I was just running around out there doing a whole lot of nothing.
I don't know, man. Just make a fucking play. Ronaldo's teaching the game.
Give me the ball.
Yeah, give me the ball.
They're probably yelling at me to stop a lot of times when I didn't stop.
Absolutely love it. I remember trying to play rugby at Carleton. I went to like 2 practices, and one of the first ones was a conditioning one, which is like, why am I going to go to another one? And the second one, I was like, fine, I'll go one more time. And I remember like catching a ball and running laterally, similar to football, where, you know, you just like, you find some space. And they're like, no, run straight. You take a hit or just quickly lateral it. Right, exactly. Correct. And just keep moving us forward. And that's when I realized that was not the sport for me. But just far too creative of a runner. I didn't know what to do with myself.
You're telling me to go towards the tackle.
Yeah, that for me, I mean, you guys know me. I was like, fuck that. But I am excited to start covering this more and more. So I appreciate that, LC. Any final thoughts, guys, on this before we just wrap up the episode?
Wishing for a streak.
Wishing for a streak. I think we're going to conclude it on that. Guys, this is District Divided. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Amit. That is LC. That is K-Dot. And that is guest star Mernal Widge. Thank you so much again for listening. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Enjoy the turkey. Enjoy the family, friends. However you choose to enjoy it, enjoy the day. And we will see you guys next week. Take it easy and pray for that Washington football team W.
Real friends don't let friends watch the Lions on Thanksgiving.